and at times she became visibly upset, wiping away tears as she gave her evidence.
Lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs are currently fighting battles on many fronts. Reports suggest they even spent the holidays preparing legal motions in an effort to limit the growing number of cases against the music mogul. But one of the most unusual cases comes from a Michigan prison inmate who claims
Combs raped him in the 90s. A judge had initially granted a massive $100 million judgment in his favor, but after that was overturned, Derek Cardello Smith is now pushing forward with his lawsuit, and he says he plans to call pop icon Jennifer Lopez as a witness.
Diddy isn't just sitting behind bars. Reports suggest he's keeping track of those he feels betrayed him. And at the top of that list? Jennifer Lopez, the fallen music mogul, who is currently awaiting a jury's verdict that could potentially send him to prison for decades, is said to be compiling a revenge list of celebrities who didn't stand by him during his trial. According to claims coming out of Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, his ex-girlfriend J.Lo has become his number one target. Sources allege that Diddy is furious over her decision not to publicly support him. He reportedly believes Lopez owes her career success to him and feels she should have spoken up as a character witness. He says she's been disloyal, one insider shared. She's at the very top of his revenge list if he ever gets out.
Involving Derek Cardello Smith is one of the strangest parts of the saga of Sean Diddy Combs right now. And as we know, the rapper is behind bars in Brooklyn, accused by the feds of forcing sex workers and others to participate in hours-long performances and orgies, trafficking, racketeering, transportation, to engage in prostitution, federal charges, and at the same time.
If you're wondering whether Diddy really made J.Lo's career, you're not the only one. Yes, they dated during the early days of her rise to fame, but the idea that she owes her entire multi-decade, billion-dollar empire to him is a big stretch. This latest claim highlights just how inflated Diddy's ego appears to be, even while he's locked up and facing the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. Instead of focusing on his legal battles, he's reportedly fixated on revenge against people in both his personal and professional circles who refuse to stand by him. Diddy honestly believes he still has the upper hand, one source said. That's how far his ego goes. In one of the strangest twists, the insider claimed Diddy even said he could curse J.Lo and her career. Curse her career? It almost sounds like a mix between Hollywood drama and a fantasy movie, but according to the source, J.Lo isn't worried at all. She's completely done with Diddy, they said. No threat from him or anyone else is going to intimidate her.
Has also been accused in several civil lawsuits of drugging and raping people as far back as the 90s. The allegations come from both men and women, including some who say that they were just teens when they were targeted.
If you were J.Lo, would you be worried about so-called magical curses from a prison cell? Probably not. But these reported threats highlight just how far removed from reality Diddy may have become as his once powerful empire collapses around him. His relationship with Jennifer Lopez, which lasted from 1999 to 2001, was one of Hollywood's most high-profile romances. But it was also clouded by controversy, most notably the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting at Club New York that left 3 people injured and led to weapons charges against Diddy. While Lopez was never accused of being directly involved, she has avoided discussing certain aspects of that night for over 2 decades. I'm not saying Lopez is completely innocent, one industry insider claimed. She still has some accountability for that incident in New York. But she's never fully addressed it. And really? Who would want to relive a nightclub shooting from 25 years ago, especially after spending decades building a completely different public image? Questions have also swirled about how much Lopez knew about Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. One of her ex-boyfriends even went on social media suggesting that while he avoided those parties, J.Lo didn't. As one observer joked, "That sound you hear? It's J.Lo's publicist having a panic attack." But Lopez is hardly the only person reportedly on Diddy's revenge list. Sources claim he's angry at many celebrities who once enjoyed his wealth and hospitality but have now distanced themselves. Names like Jamie Foxx and Ashton Kutcher have come up, with one insider explaining, "Can you blame them? Who would want to publicly defend Diddy right now, especially someone like Ashton Kutcher. Supporting him would be career suicide. The same insider added, Diddy's delusional. He thinks he's walking out of prison and back into power. That's not confidence. That's delusion on steroids. What's particularly troubling is that Diddy reportedly believes he still has a real chance at freedom. Legal analysts admit that if even one juror refuses to convict, he could walk away free. That small possibility fuels his belief that he'll be able to return to his old life. Meanwhile, disturbing new testimony has surfaced. Anton Hardin, a performer hired for Diddy's notorious private parties, says he was paid up to $7,000 per session to participate in elaborate sexual scenarios directed by Diddy himself. Hardin explained, I thought I was just there for fun with consenting adults. But if anyone was coerced into it, that's super messed up. It makes it feel like blood money.
That immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she had to say, as well as those jurors.
Imagine showing up to what you think is a consensual adult encounter, only to later discover you may have unknowingly taken part in alleged sex trafficking. How would you feel? Performer Anton Hardin described arriving at hotel rooms where Diddy would already be waiting, cameras set up on tripods, red lights glowing, and red towels carefully arranged. It felt like I was walking onto an adult film set, Hardin recalled. According to him, Diddy maintained full control over these encounters. He told you where to stand, what to wear, what angle to face, when to go slower, when to go faster. He directed everything. It was his show. Hardin said the woman would call Diddy Daddy, and he was introduced as her gift. He explained, he wanted us to exaggerate. It was like he was making his own movie. Hardin also claimed there was always a steady supply of substances at these sessions. Sometimes, Diddy would physically join in, while at other times he would simply watch and take turns with performers. Perhaps most shocking, Hardin says he only realized the true nature of what he may have been involved in when hearing Jane Doe's testimony in court. If I had known what was really going on, I would have left the moment I walked in, he said. But Jane was so inviting, she hugged me, smiled, even made me a smoothie. In later encounters, Hardin claims Diddy seemed more focused on how the public saw him than on any possible legal trouble.
Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J.Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them. People have started digging into her past, and it raises some questions.
Hardin recalled that Diddy often ranted about rumors and memes, suggesting he was interested in men. That's what bothered him most, Hardin said. Not the federal case, not the investigations, the memes. Looking back on his involvement, Hardin expressed regret. I'm not a judge. I don't know all the details of the racketeering case, but if he was hitting and manipulating women, that's messed up. I feel embarrassed that I was even a third party in that situation. As prosecutors deliver their closing arguments today and the defense responds tomorrow, the case against Combs is entering a critical phase. The jury could begin deliberations as early as Monday, with a verdict possibly arriving next week. Legal experts remain split on how strong the government's case really is. Can a RICO case be built on the actions of one person? That's been a major debate, one trial observer explained. Most say yes, but the real question is whether the jury will believe it. The challenge for prosecutors is proving not just that crimes occurred, but that they were part of a larger criminal enterprise directed by Combs. A legal analyst noted, there's still a chance he could walk. If prosecutors haven't shown enough evidence of an organized group working under him, the RICO charges may not hold up.
Joins us now, sharing her story. Natanya, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999 and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last.
No matter what the jury decides, Sean Diddy Combs' reputation already appears beyond repair. Diddy has become toxic. Everyone in the industry knows it, said one entertainment insider. That's true whether or not every claim out there ends up being proven. The fact that former associates like Hardin are now willing to speak publicly shows that the wall of silence once protecting Combs is falling apart. People don't believe he's innocent, added another source close to the music world. We've seen enough. We know what he's capable of, and we know what he's lied about. For Jennifer Lopez, being named at the top of Diddy's alleged revenge list creates a tricky situation. For more than 20 years, she has carefully separated her career as a respected entertainer, businesswoman, and family-friendly figure from her past relationship with him. Now, his legal battles risk pulling old questions back into the spotlight. J.Lo doesn't owe Diddy anything, argued a celebrity image consultant. The fact that he thinks she should risk her reputation to defend him just shows how out of touch with reality he has become. Experts say the idea of a revenge list gives a disturbing look into Combs' state of mind. Clinical psychologists suggest this behavior is common when powerful figures lose control. When someone who spent years controlling others suddenly loses their influence, they sometimes retreat into fantasies of revenge or a big comeback, explained one forensic psychologist. It's a way of protecting themselves from facing the reality that their empire has collapsed.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York. I didn't realize the extent of J.Lo's.
The mention of cursing Jennifer Lopez highlights a form of magical thinking, believing he still has powers beyond normal control. Psychologists note this often happens when people lose real influence and cling to imagined ones. Remember when the scariest thing about Diddy was his vote or die campaign? Those were simpler times, one expert remarked. What's most revealing is Combs' belief that celebrities like Lopez still owe him loyalty, despite the serious charges against him. He genuinely seems to think his past status entitles him to ongoing allegiance, no matter his actions, said a celebrity relations expert. But ask yourself, if someone from 20 years ago demanded you risk your reputation to defend them in a criminal trial, would you do it? Probably not. In Diddy's world, though, that's how loyalty works. As the trial nears its conclusion, key questions remain. Will the jury find the government's case strong enough to convict on RICO charges? Or could they dismiss it on technical grounds, despite troubling testimony? How will Lopez handle being named at the top of his alleged revenge list? She has so far stayed silent, a strategy that's worked for her, but it may become harder to maintain as more details surface. And will other performers or guests from Combs' parties come forward now that Harden has spoken publicly? The prosecution's closing arguments will be critical, explained one legal analyst. They have to connect these disturbing stories into a clear picture of an organized criminal enterprise. The defense will argue these were isolated events or consensual activities that, while questionable, don't add up to racketeering. For now, Combs sits in detention as his empire collapses, his allies step away, and his reputation lies in ruins. The man who once called himself a savage who gets whatever I want now has no power beyond his own imagination, where he still dreams of revenge on those who refuse to stand by him. If he really did hit and manipulate women, that's just messed up, Harden concluded. His words may be simple, but they capture the gravity of the situation, and perhaps we are about to see something that could.